In the ever-turbulent arena of British politics, where promises are often as fleeting as the wind, one figure stands out for his staggering ability to pivot and waver: Keir Starmer. The leader of the Labour Party has become emblematic of a political strategy that seems to lack both conviction and coherence. His recent actions, particularly regarding Brexit and housing policy, reveal a leader who is not just struggling to maintain his footing but seems to be actively digging his own political grave. The question on everyone's lips is not whether Starmer can right the ship but rather how far down he will take the party with him. The most glaring misstep in Starmer's political journey has been his blatant about-face on Brexit. Once a staunch advocate for making Brexit work, he has now engaged in negotiations that suggest a willingness to re-establish ties with the very bureaucracy that the public voted to escape. The idea of cozying up to the European Union through agreements like the Pan-Euromed Mediterranean Convention is nothing short of a betrayal to those who place their faith in his promises. His team's behind-the-scenes discussions with business leaders about re-engaging with EU trade arrangements reek of desperation, undermining the very foundation upon which his leadership was built. This is not merely a political faux pas, it is a catastrophic error in judgment that has left many Labour supporters questioning the party's integrity. Furthermore, the housing crisis in the UK has reached a boiling point, and instead of delivering a robust plan that addresses the needs of the population, Starmer has opted for a contradictory approach that alienates both environmentalists and local communities. The promise of new homes has been overshadowed by a draconian reform limiting legal challenges to infrastructure projects. While he may present this as a necessary streamlining of processes, it fundamentally undermines community rights and environmental protections. Critics, including prominent environmental groups, have rightly pointed out that this approach could lead to disastrous consequences, bulldozing through regulations meant to safeguard our natural heritage. Starmer's attempt to appease developers while placating the voices of dissent is a classic case of trying to serve two masters and failing miserably. The inconsistencies in Starmer's policies are not just an internal problem, they have become a public relations nightmare. His recent budget proposal is a prime example of this disarray. Promising responsible economic management, his plan has instead revealed gaping holes that suggest a woeful understanding of fiscal responsibility. The projections are not just optimistic, they are downright unrealistic. Labour MPs are beginning to panic, and the public is not buying the narrative being sold. The perception that Labour is out of touch with reality is growing, and it threatens to undermine any remaining credibility Starmer might cling to. Moreover, the internal turmoil within the Labour Party is becoming impossible to ignore. Whispers of discontent among MPs are growing louder, and the once unified front appears to be fracturing. The fear is palpable, the party is teetering on the brink of collapse, with potential successors lurking in the shadows, ready to pounce. This is not just a crisis of leadership, it is a crisis of identity for Labour. Starmer's attempts to straddle the fence have led to a significant drop in party membership, a clear signal that many are disillusioned with the direction he's taking. When members begin to lose faith in their leader, it spells trouble, and trouble is precisely what Labour is facing. Starmer's attempts to pivot, to play the political game with dexterity, are failing spectacularly. Each decision he makes seems to backfire, compounding the existing crises rather than alleviating them. The media, once enamored with his leadership, has turned its gaze sharply towards his myriad of blunders. The headlines are brutal, and the commentary scathing. The narrative is shifting, and the once gilded image of Starmer is tarnishing before our very eyes. The question remains, can Starmer salvage his leadership, or is he destined to become another cautionary tale in the annals of Labour history? The evidence suggests the latter. With each passing day, the prospects of a successful turnaround diminish, and the spectre of electoral defeat looms larger. The electorate is not just looking for policies, they are seeking authenticity, trust, and a clear vision. Starmer has failed to provide any of these, and the consequences will be dire. In conclusion, Keir Starmer is at a crossroads, and the path he has chosen is fraught with peril. His flip-flopping on critical issues, coupled with a lack of coherent strategy, is alienating the very voters he needs to win back. The Labour Party is facing an existential crisis, one that could lead to its downfall if decisive action is not taken soon. The time for half measures and political posturing is over. It's time for a leader who can genuinely unite the party and present a bold vision for the future. If Starmer cannot rise to this occasion, he risks becoming a relic of what could have been, a leader who had promised but squandered it on a series of miscalculations and missed opportunities. The clock is ticking, and the stakes have never been higher.